The windshield wiper on the modern topspin forehand is a very popular term. However, it is often misunderstood. First, I'm going to explain the importance of the windshield wiper technique, but I'm also going to explain how to properly do it and the area where most people fail. The reason we want to have a windshield wiper follow through on the forehand is to keep the string bed facing towards the net for as long as possible. If our racket goes on edge too early, it's going to be a much flatter ball, and we will not get that desired brush up and over the ball that a lot of people are looking for. Now, the execution of this is very important, and a lot of players go about it by flicking the wrist throughout the contact zone. The reason that you don't want to do this is because one, it's going to lead to injury, and two, you will actually get no power and often deliver a glancing blow that goes everywhere except for your intended target. So if the forehand windshield wiper doesn't come from the wrist, where does it come from? Well, I'm going to explain a little bit of the forehand biomechanics in this video. In the modern ATP forehand, we want to relax the wrist at the top of the backswing. So up here, there is no tension in the wrist. It is not up and locked. And the racket head at this point in the swing should either be slightly inverted or at least hooded in order to relax the angle on the wrist. So on the forehand, contrary to popular belief, the wrist, hand, and lower arm are not independent parts. And in fact, the entire arm is rotating over the ball as a unit from the shoulder joint. If you want to feel what the forehand windshield wiper is like, put your hand out and pretend to open a door. And you should feel this sensation in your entire arm, okay? So how do we execute this, and how does it apply to your own forehand? Well, from a setup with a loose and relaxed wrist, none of the lower arm is active at the top of the backswing, you want to pull forwards with your arm as dead weight. The wrist, the hand are along for the ride. You want to throw the bigger muscles first and drive from the shoulder. And the wrist will come back into the slot and the butt cap will point to the ball as a natural consequence. So you don't want to try and force this move. You just need to let it happen by itself. Now, when you drive forwards, at contact point, if there's no tension in the hand, your wrist will naturally be laid back. Throughout the contact zone, you want to consciously keep your wrist back, don't break the wrist, and roll over the ball with your shoulder, keeping the strings pointing towards the net for as long as possible. And at the end of the follow through, your racket head should finish with the strings pointing towards the side fence. You can tell immediately when somebody has flicked their wrist throughout the contact zone because the strings will not remain facing to the target. The lower arm and wrist will snap and come across, and the racket will finish on edge, usually like this or like that, instead of like this. And this is the full range of motion on the forehand windshield wiper and how to create massive amounts of topspin. So if you want to do this in your own forehand, don't snap the wrist, don't roll the wrist, drive from the shoulder, and actually inhibit this wrist action. Once the ball has left your strings and you have created a half circle throughout the contact zone, you may relax the angle in the wrist and go into your own unique follow through. But most of the time on the windshield wiper forehand, players will come through and across and wrap underneath the non-hitting shoulder. Now, just one more thing. A lot of people think that the windshield wiper only happens at contact point, but the rolling of the shoulder actually starts at the top of the backswing. So you want to start pulling and rolling over with the shoulder all the way from back here. So don't just wait to do it after you've hit the ball, or else you are actually not going to get as much topspin. So Think about it like your arm turning over in a complete circle. When you get to the halfway point, that's the contact point. And in the follow through is the second half of the circle. So it needs to be one fluid motion from the full shoulder turn. And that's all you need to know about the windshield wiper forehand. In any event, thanks for tuning in, and use what you've learned to modernize your game. If you like what you learned in this video tutorial and you want to continue your learning and optimize your technique, I recommend taking the next step and trying out my online course. You can find more information and sign up with the link down below. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.